So today we're going to go inside Texas's internal investigation as to whether or not the air conditioner was working in the visitors' locker room. And all that's coming up after the bumper.
What do you mean you don't subscribe to my son's YouTube channel?
Mama, no!
Just snap the damn ball, RJ.
What's up, kid folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always OU related, college football related, sports related. We have a good time, and today we're going to take a look at Texas's own investigation inside its air conditioning unit in a visitor's locker room. So this was a stink that was raised because Ed Orgeron made it a thing, okay? It was said by him that the air conditioner inside the visiting locker room at DKR, that'd be Darrell Royal Stadium, they call it Texas Memorial, whatever, the visitors' locker room didn't have any AC that worked. So much so that he claimed they need to bring in their own blowers, fans, to cool down the team. And it was particularly hot. Like kickoff, it was like 102. It was very still. Folks that were there are all telling you, hey man, I was soaking in my own juices. I was frying out there. So to play the game was something else entirely. And as it relates to football, you could see that the heat was affecting both teams, but more importantly, it was affecting LSU. So in a 19-play drive, you had a couple of guys, I think it was 4 total, that ended up on the turf that were signaling that, you know, they were cramping up. Maybe there were some shenanigans. Maybe they were signaling to try to stop the clock, to try to stop the drive, to try to slow them down, to try to reset their defense, to figure out. I thought, you know, cool, it's hot, you know, it's humid. It's Austin, Texas. What do you expect? To which a lot of folks have said, hey man, it's hot in Louisiana. It's humid in Louisiana. We know what this kind of heat is, and this is not the kind of heat that should affect LSU any more than it should affect Texas, because you went through training camp in this in Baton Rouge, just like they went through training camp in this in Austin. You were in a tight game that you might have lost, so yeah, probably cramp it up. But I found this funny because this report comes out on Horns 247, where Chip Brown does it. Exhausting detail and a straight face as he writes things like, the temperature in the LSU locker room when the Tigers arrived at Darrell K Royal Stadium, Texas Memorial Stadium, for last Saturday's game against the Longhorns was 68 degrees, and the temperature after the game was 74 degrees, according to an internal report conducted by the Texas Athletic Department. In this report, they also took a look at who was overseeing it, what, if anything, was going on with it. There was a assumption that Ed Orgeron had spoken to Skip Holtz about what La Tech was facing when they went there to play at Texas earlier in the season. And Skip Holtz wouldn't know anything. And then Tommy McClellan, who was the athletic director at La Tech, personally called Del Conte, according to Del Conte, Chris Del Conte, athletic director at Texas, and said, hey man, we didn't really have any issues. I don't know where this is coming from. And Del Conte has been on a PR campaign all week to say, this is the first we heard of this. Our locker rooms are fine. We have air conditioning in our locker room. And this is the kind of thing that is spread far and wide because you got Georgia's athletic director talking about, hey, a good piece for somebody to do, told this to Seth Emerson at The Athletic, is take a look at visiting locker rooms around the SEC. You'll find most of them suck. And he was saying, even ours sucks. But you know what? It's kind of what we do here. We don't actually roll out the red carpet for visiting teams. It's kind of a team we're trying to beat. We kind of treat you like the enemy. We only give you a locker room because we have to give you a locker room. Does it say what kind of state that locker room needs to be in? If it were up to most athletic directors and football coaches, I kind of think they would put a bucket in the middle of a cement basin and call it a locker room. So I think it's funny that Texas is like, no man, here's the receipts, okay? If you're going to dunk on us when we don't conduct our own internal investigation to find out whether or not our air conditioning unit works. This is particularly funny to me because my air conditioner went out at my house last Friday. For 2 hours, I was sweltering. It was hot. I was losing my mind. I didn't know what was going on. I thought I was going to have to spend $11,000 on a new air conditioning unit when really it was, yo, RJ, change the batteries in the wall unit. Home ownership. Not all is cracked up to be. However, maybe the wall unit batteries didn't work, but if they wasn't found by this internal investigation in Texas, which, you know, if you're going to take this to the bizarro world of doing your own internal investigation and then feeding the data to Horns 247 and Chip Brown to try to get your story out there, the least you could do is hire an independent investigator. to verify these findings. That's what people usually do. They don't usually do their own investigations. They see we didn't find anything unless they just want to be roundly laughed at. And this is in keeping with Texas football. You know, they're kind of soft from time to time. Hey, we think that the horns down gesture is, disrespectful, and we don't want it. We think it should be a penalty. Started by Mac Brown, perpetuated by Tom Herman, and now, Ehlinger had tweeted at one point, I remember everybody threw horns down. Oh, yeah? All like 5 million of us? Come on, man. You're Texas. You are a class of football. You make more money than any other program in college athletics, and this is who you are. Who you are is someone saying, here's my receipt. Who you are is somebody who's saying, hey, don't lie on us. Locker rooms are fine. You know what? If you want to make sure that your locker room is in fully working order and functional, invite Army. Play them. They'll probably beat you, but they'll leave the locker room spick and span. Just ask Oklahoma, ask Michigan. Those dudes know how to pick up after themselves, which I always thought was something that we taught everybody to do, but apparently nobody does, except Army, because it gets talked about when Army does it. When other people leave a visiting locker room, they probably left it in a worse condition than how they found it. However, I think this is all just funny because you knew that it was contentious between LSU and Texas because Tom Herman reportedly turned down LSU to go to Texas. You knew it was contentious because Louisiana always feels like it's in the shadow of Texas. And on top of all of this, the Saints handed the Texans a loss in, remarkable fashion, really. I mean, we're talking about a kicker doing kicker stuff, and we're talking about referees that almost tried to give the game to the Houston Texans. And everybody really kind of has a problem with Texas outside of Texas because Texas treats itself like its own country because, it once was. And they want everybody to remember that, to which we all tell them, we annexed you, which means we own you. And when you're talking about football, you're talking about Oklahoma and how we own you. Because even at an LSU game day event with Texas, there are signs in the crowd that say OU sucks. Rent-free. It's all rent-free. All right, that's it for me. Doses.